Building bonds of love, helping your child get closer to their grandparents. Hello, dear parents. I'm sure all of us hope our children will love and feel close to their grandparents. Right? Family bonds and intergenerational connections are incredibly precious. However, reality doesn't always align with our hopes. Sometimes, your child may not show much interest, or might even seem reluctant, to be around their grandparents, leading to awkward situations and unnecessary hurt feelings. So why does this difference occur? Why are some children naturally attached to their grandparents, while others seem distant? More importantly, how can we, as parents, become a strong bridge that nurtures a warm, loving bond between grandparents and grandchildren? In today's conversation, we'll explore the reasons behind a child's attachment, or lack thereof, to elderly family members. We'll uncover what truly attracts children, the common causes of discomfort, and most importantly, simple but effective ways to help your child grow closer to and cherish their grandparents. Let's dive in together. Understanding your child's heart. Why children may be attached, or distant, to grandparents. What shapes the bond between kids and elders. A mother once shared this story. She has 2 sons, aged 7 and 4. Their father works away from home often, so the boys are used to sleeping with their mom. Recently, their paternal grandmother came to visit. On the first night, they arranged for the older boy to sleep with grandma, but he absolutely refused and insisted on sleeping with mom. The second night was no different. Grandma ended up feeling hurt and even cried, saying she must have done something wrong for her grandchild not to love her, and blamed the mother for not teaching her child properly. The mother was left feeling bewildered and helpless. This story likely sounds familiar to many families. It touches on a fascinating truth about how both children, and even animals, form bonds. Have you noticed that children or pets cling to someone not because that person is wealthy, powerful, or attractive? They're untouched by such external values. It's just like the old saying, a child doesn't criticize a poor parent, a dog doesn't despise a poor owner. When a child genuinely loves someone, it speaks volumes about that person's warmth, kindness, and trustworthiness. Winning the affection of a child is truly a badge of honor. Some even joke that you have to seize the opportunity and bribe kids to win their love. Interestingly, some young mothers who leave their kids in their grandparents' care during the day have felt a pang of jealousy when they return home, only to find their child preferring grandma, even inviting mom into grandma's room as if she were a guest. So, what makes a child want to be near grandma? Typically, children who are very attached to their grandparents have been cared for by them since infancy. Grandparents understand their little habits and needs. They have a patience that busy parents sometimes can't afford. Willing to spend hours listening to stories or playing together. Grandparents are like treasure chests of fairy tales and old-time stories. Small gestures, like scratching a child's back at bedtime or hand fanning them when the power goes out, can create immense warmth. And, not to mention, grandparents often spoil their grandchildren a little more, using gentle correction instead of harsh discipline, even occasionally allowing things parents have forbidden. These seemingly small things lay the foundation for a strong emotional bond. On the flip side, there are reasons why a child might feel uneasy or strange around grandparents, especially if they don't see them often. Sometimes it's simply because they aren't familiar, similar to how sleeping in a strange bed feels uncomfortable. Without regular interaction, a child may not feel secure or sleep as peacefully as they do with their parents. There are also subtle factors. Children are highly sensitive to smells, and grandparents sometimes have distinct scents, like herbal oils, balms, medicines, or even betel leaves, that might feel unfamiliar or overwhelming to young noses. Certain habits, like touching the child during sleep, coughing at night, or repeatedly asking the same questions can also unsettle children who don't yet understand these behaviors. Hygiene matters, too. If grandparents aren't meticulous about fresh clothes, brushing teeth, or washing up before bed, children may feel uncomfortable sharing a bed. Returning to the initial story. If you find yourself in a similar situation, first try to empathize with grandma's feelings. Elderly people are often sensitive and long deeply for their family's love. Then, gently apologize, explaining that you hadn't properly prepared your child emotionally, and promise to nurture the relationship so that future visits will go more smoothly. Building bridges. Tips to help your child grow closer to their grandparents. So, how can we strengthen the bond between grandparents and grandchildren, especially when they don't see each other often? How can we help a child move past the awkwardness and develop love and affection for their grandparents? There are simple yet powerful ways to do this. Methods that also teach children to become more affectionate and courteous individuals. One wonderful method is storytelling. Frequently share stories about the grandparents with your child. They don't have to be grand tales, simple, everyday stories during meals, before bedtime, or during family gatherings work perfectly. Tell your child how hard the grandparents worked to raise their own children, how they eagerly awaited your child's arrival, how much they loved and cared for them even before birth. Share how now, as they grow older, they miss their grandchildren dearly. Such heartfelt stories touch a child's heart deeply, fostering understanding and emotional connection. Some children even tear up listening to stories about their grandparents' love and sacrifices. Besides storytelling, maintaining regular contact is crucial. Encourage your child to call, write letters, or even send handmade cards to their grandparents. Sometimes, you can help your child send a small gift, perhaps a local specialty or something the grandparents would enjoy. And, if possible, arrange visits during holidays or summer breaks. These trips build beautiful memories and strengthen family ties. Always remember, children learn more from what they see than from what they're told. If parents show respect, love, and care toward their own parents, children will naturally follow. On the contrary, if parents are indifferent, how can we expect the children to be affectionate? Another key lesson is teaching children the importance of making loved ones happy. Explain that sometimes we do things not just because we personally enjoy them, but because they bring joy and comfort to the people we care about. Agreeing